to get into our theme that we are in right now, just to catch you up if you forgot, we are talking about Pratyahara, which is the fifth limb of classical yoga according to Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra. So we have done the yamas, we've done the niyamas, we have practiced asana, we have practiced pranayama, and now is that pinnacle point where we are turning inward. It's not so much about preparing for deeper states of consciousness, but it's turning toward deeper states of consciousness. And so we have done two practices on this already. We did the Antakarana and Koshas practice, where we start to actually systematically turn off our awareness of sight, sound, taste, all the other senses. And then 2 weeks ago, we did a chakra practice, which was a bit more energetic. We actually kind of like burned off all the stuff so that we could go inward without the body and your energetic state being a distraction, which is honestly the point of the first four limbs. Get your life in order with the first two, get your body in order with the third one, get your energy in order with the fourth one, so that you can not be distracted by those realms of consciousness. And we start to turn inward. And so to cap this practice off, this idea of pratyahara, and I like actually the definition of disidentification with the senses, to practice that a bit deeper, we're not going to make it such a physical class tonight. In fact, it's only going to be a little bit physical, and then it's going to get pretty metaphysical. So we'll spend the first 45 minutes or so of our practice tonight in a restorative yoga practice. And then once we have finished that practice, our shavasana will actually be a yoga nidra. So we'll spend about 45-ish minutes in a yoga nidra practice as well. Very similar to what I do monthly. So if you like this one, we do it all the time. And yeah, this is a really great practice. One, because it helps us to slow down. You know, when we're moving really quickly, yes, it can help to fry off some of that energy that might be a little bit frenetic. When we start to slow down and we start to relax in certain postures, the body does let go. It does help us drop in. And more importantly, is we're switching from our sympathetic reactive state, our fight or flight, freeze, collapse state, into our sympathetic nervous system, which is the resting state and the natural state of our being. That's really where we want to live the most from, but with our culture, we don't really. So this will be good for you. Yoga Nidra, I think, is a brilliant practice to help both practice pratyahara and to start getting a taste of what comes next, which are the states of meditation. Now, yoga nidra in and of itself is not a meditation technique. It's a different state of consciousness that we're heading towards, but you do start to disidentify with the senses. Those of you who have practiced yoga nidra before, whether with me or without me, you don't know where you're at in space and time after a while, but you're still awake and you're still conscious. That is the flavor we want to get to in a pratyahara practice. So to get started with the physical practice, before we center, we'll still do a centering. I want to make sure that you have two bed pillows, at least two bed pillows, 2 to 3 folded blankets, which I am sitting on, and then there we go. If you have one, a yoga block. If you do not have one, I will give you a different way to practice some of these techniques. But if you have one nearby, pick it up. It'll be helpful. Always good to have a few props lying around. Okay, now that we've talked for a few minutes, this is why we have 90 minutes tonight, so we have plenty of time to discuss things. All right, let's go ahead and get centered. Sitting comfortably, please. If you're collecting things, keep collecting them. We'll be in the centering practice for a moment or two. Good, and then go ahead and allow your eyes to close, having that intention of turning off the sense of sight. And we'll allow our centering to actually be a quick Antakarana practice, or disidentification or disawareness of the senses. So just allow your body to come into a bit of stillness. Allow your breath to become calm. And become aware of sound. Sounds inside of your home, sounds outside of your home. Notice any emotional reaction you have to those sounds. Maybe you feel irritated by them. Maybe they're comforting sounds. They let you know you're home. Allow them all to be in your awareness without preference. And you don't even have to identify what the sounds are, though you might do that inherently. But just allow them to be there. Allow them to occupy your consciousness for just a little bit longer. Now, the idea here is that everything in the universe wants to be acknowledged. And now that you've acknowledged sound, it's less inclined to be a distraction to you because you've honored it. So turn your awareness away from sound into the points of contact your body makes with the floor. The legs and the hips connecting to the ground. Feel the connection your body makes to clothing. The connection your body makes to itself. The hands on the thighs, the legs crossing, the arms resting against the sides of your body. The tongue resting in your mouth, the lips touching, the eyelids meeting. Aware of the sense of touch. You might even notice the temperature of the air on the skin. Allow all of it to be in your awareness. And then turn your awareness to your sense of sight. Yes, the eyes are closed. Maybe there's some diffused light coming in through the eyelids. And even if there isn't, just knowing that you are technically looking at the back of your eyelids. Allowing any visual information to be in your awareness. Bow to it, honor it. And then shift your focus to your sense of smell. And there may be a pronounced smell. It might smell neutral. We tend to be kind of nose blind to common sense in our home. You're still smelling them. They're just not as much in your awareness. Allow them to be in your awareness. Bow to them. Honor them. And become aware of your sense of taste. Maybe there's a lingering taste in your mouth from something you've had recently. Maybe there's not, but knowing that there's still this awareness or sense that you're tasting something, even if it's neutral. Allow it to be in your awareness. Honor it, bow to it. And then turning away from that sense as well, bring your awareness to the center of your brain. And maybe see a light at the center of the brain. It might be a flame or a spark or a star. Just see a light at the center of the brain. Now, as you do so, you may start to become aware of your thoughts. Maybe you get distracted. Maybe you're trying to decide what kind of light it is. Allow those thoughts to be in your awareness and then let them go just as quickly. This thought rises like smoke from an incense. You can play with it, you can distort it, but eventually it dissipates. Allow the thought to arise and allow it to be let go. Returning awareness to that light each and every time. And this is the exact practice of Pratyahara. It's knowing that there's information coming in and existing within, but not identifying with it, not allowing it to disrupt you or to occupy your consciousness for even more than a moment. All that information is still there, all that sensory information is still happening, but your relationship to it starts to change from affected to non-affected. Not because it's not important, but because that you're making a conscious choice to not allow it to affect you in this moment. This is the state that we're cultivating, and it's okay if you're not there yet. We're just getting started. But allow that to be your intention as we chant the sound Om together 3 times. So taking a deep breath in. Bring your palms to your heart, honoring yourself as you are in this moment. Body, breath, energy, mind, that which can observe the mind. It's in service of all that we practice. So rubbing the palms together. Take the warm palms over your eyes. Brushing over the head, down the neck, bringing yourself back to the space around you. Lovely. We're back. So we're going to start with a supported fish pose. So I'll give you 2 options for this one. One is to use a block, and the other is to use a thick blanket, or there could even be an option to use a pillow here as well. So if you are using a block, you're going to bring it tall wise on your mat. And you're going to eyeball about where the base of your shoulder blades are. So once I come to lay down, the block will rest about here and it'll go up toward my head. This might take a few tries to do. I've done this a few times, so I kind of know where it's supposed to go. So yeah, the base of the shoulder blades, and then you'll just relax back over it. Almost had it, there we go. Relax back over it. Now, if you're using a block and this is too high for you, you can bring a folded blanket underneath your head, and that just kind of takes some of the pressure off the neck. And we'll relax here for a bit. If you do not have a block, you can take that folded blanket and you can either roll it up, or I have mine pretty thick and I can just fold it in half a little bit. The idea here is to create a reversal of the thoracic curve or the upper back. So I'll just relax down on this. And there's the same idea that the heart is opening here. Okay? Why not? I'll show you one more option. If you only have a pillow, you can kind of just try to cut it and fold it in half here lengthwise. And you might have to keep it pushed down to achieve this. But you can still get a back bend happening here. And this is a little bit softer on the spine if the hardness of the block is too much for you. So find your way into this posture, whichever version you would like to do, depending on what you have available and also whatever you want to do. Bring any support where you need it, especially if you say you're on the block and it's too high, you can just bring a blanket under your head again. And then spend a few moments to just find your posture, where you feel the most comfortable here. We won't be here for too ungodly long, but you want to make sure that your body will not be a distraction to you. That is the goal. And as you settle in, take a few deep breaths in and out. Try to find a state of stillness. Now, in addition to this just being a back bend, a reversal of the thoracic curve, it's also opening the abdomen, which can allow for a softening of your belly. When we're stuck in our fight or flight states, we tend to brace the belly region of the body. See if you can let go of some of that effort. Maybe even allowing the breath to drop down into that soft belly. Now, the core precept behind restorative yoga is that the less you try, the more you do. It's pretty much the opposite of normal yoga. So keep relaxing, keep letting go, keep softening. Keep sinking. Now, in terms of Pratyahara, allow yourself to be ambivalent to sensory information. Yes, the world spins around you, but you don't spin with it. There may be noise, there may be sensation. It's there, but it's not a distraction. Instead, you allow your focus to identify more with that light within, that light at the center of the brain, that center of consciousness. Keep relaxing. When the mind pulls you away, be dispassionate about that thought. Again, it'll be there, it'll rise, but you let it go just as easily. Like smoke from an incense wafting away. No need to try to latch onto it, let it go. Stay for just a little bit longer. And then choosing to take a deeper, fuller breath. Now, there are a couple ways to come up. You can roll off of your prop onto your side. And if you choose to sit straight up, just make sure you reach back and hold your head as you do so. Support the neck as you come back up. Eventually, all of us coming to a comfortable seat. I love that one. It actually has an energizing, energetic effect. And so you might come out of it and just feel a bit more awake. And that's partly because you rested, but partly because we were doing a bit of a back bend. So you might need any of these same props for this next one. It's not too ungodly different. I'll show you with a block. I'll show you without a block. And I'm going to come onto my back and I'll come into chair prep. So feet flat on the floor. And I'm going to take the block and I'm going to slide it underneath my hips. Now the top of the block, or the side closest to my upper back, is right at my waistband. The rest of it is downward toward my tailbone. Okay, and it's just giving you a little bit of a height in your hips, and then you'll relax the legs down and you'll allow the feet to fall outward. So this is just the hips are raised, and you start to get a gentle pull or stretch in the muscles of the hip flexors, the pelvis, and the lower abdomen. Okay, and in my experience working with this one with folks, people either love this one or they don't like it at all. If you do not have a block, you could use that folded blanket instead. And that gives you, it's not as much height, but it's still some height. All right. The same with that folded pillow, depending on how thick your pillow is, depends on how high you'll get. But you can bring that under the hips as well. And that'll give you just a little bit of reversal of the sacral curve, the sacrum a little bit. Okay. So find which one you want to do. Find your way into it. It's okay to change your mind. Again, if you're using a block, the edge of it comes to your waistband, uh, just above the hips. And the rest is down toward the tailbone. And for all of us, we'll have the heels about mat width apart. Just allow the toes to flap out to the sides. Your arms are by your sides as well. Same as Shavasana, except the hips are lifted here. Now I want you to start taking some deep breaths. You might sense that softness of the belly again because we are opening the front body. You also may start to notice where there is tension in the body. Now, with our practice of Pratyahara, when we sense sensation, we bow to it, we acknowledge it, we don't resist it. Then we let it go. Not the tension, but the identification with tension. There might be some discomfort in your hips, but you are not uncomfortable because of your hips. Relax any gripping or holding. And as you start to relax a bit deeper here, I'd like you to turn away from the world. Not because you're ignoring it or avoiding it, because you're curious about any deeper experience that you're having here. So turning off all the senses, turning toward that center of your consciousness. Now, as you do that, of course, the mind kicks in, thoughts come up. Just allow them to be smoke, dissipating as quickly as they rise. No attachment, no identification. Be dispassionate toward your thoughts. Let that thought go. Turn toward that light within. And begin to take a deeper, fuller breath. To come out of this pose, please bring your feet flat to the floor, knees bent. Lift the hips, slide the prop out from underneath the hips, and slowly bring the hips back down. You can just stretch the legs out for a moment, feel what it feels like. Bring the hips back into their normal position. And then when you're ready, please roll to your right side and come back up. Take your time with that. Good. So just a little anecdotal knowledge about that last exercise. First, it's a great exercise to do if you end up sitting a lot because it's kind of exactly the opposite. And the second thing you may have noticed is that it's a slightly inverted posture and it can help with constipation. Just putting that out there because it just takes some pressure off the pelvis. All of the organs start to move up toward the heart a little bit. It just takes some pressure off of that region of the body. So if you feel a little bit stuck, try that one out for a little bit. All right, so the next one we're going to do is called lateral extensions, and we're going to need probably both pillows for this one, but let's start with one. I guess it depends on how tall you are and how flexible you are, so we'll see. Starting with one pillow, we're going to come to one side, so I'm going to lean over, and I'm going to slide my pillow, and it's shortwise forward on my mat, and I'm just going to relax down over it until my shoulder can touch the floor. And I'm just going to relax here. My legs can stay bent. I could stretch them out if I wanted to. You could take the top arm overhead. You could bring your opposite pillow as a pillow here. Now, if you're just not really feeling anything here, or this just doesn't feel significant to you, which, I'll leave that up to you. You could bring that second pillow, press it down. The hip is on the ground, excuse me, and the shoulder is on the ground as well. And this just gives you a bit more compression on the internal organs on the side body and a bit more extension on the side hip and laterals here. Okay, and again, you could take the arm overhead. You could just rest on your leg. You could rest in front of you. Take a moment and find your posture. We'll be doing this on both sides, so know that you'll get balanced out here. So it doesn't matter which side you start on. Find your pose. I'll invite you to at least try taking the top arm overhead, at least for a few moments. That'll help to emphasize the lengthening of that side body. Just encouraging yourself to settle into this stretch. And once you've felt that, you can keep the arm overhead if that's comfortable. If not, you can move it to where it does feel both comfortable and supportive. And just relax. Let go of all effort here now. Sink. Relax. And you know there's an experience happening here. There's sensations in the body. Bow to all of that. Let that continue. Then turn toward the deeper experience here, past the energetic experience, which might be relaxing, might be stimulating. There's your mental experience, maybe what you think about this pose, judging it, good, bad, or otherwise. Again, like smoke dissolving, just let that tendency go and just be that center of consciousness. Let that thought go. And taking a deeper, fuller breath, please. Slowly bring yourself up, bring both hands to the floor, support yourself as you come back up to a seat. And we're just going to do the same practice on the other side. So you can keep your pillows where you're at and just roll over if you want to. For the sake of filming, I'll just move mine to the other side. But do make sure you're on the other side here. One or two pillows right next to the hip. The hip stays on the ground. And then just arch the body over the pillow or pillows so that the shoulder comes to the ground as well here. Okay. Settling into the second side. Just like the first side, take the top arm overhead for just a few breaths, just to feel that extension. And then once you've had that, you can keep the arm overhead or you could relax it somewhere else. Just make sure it feels comfortable and supported wherever it lands. And then relax all effort. Drop. Again, the less you try here, the deeper you'll go. And the same is true for the practice of Pratyahara. It's really a surrender. Yes, there's a choice, of course, and maybe even some effort to turning away from the senses, but really it's just surrendering to the awareness of that which is deeper, letting go of control. If you think about the the use of sensory perception. It's really based around survival, which is why it helps to trigger us into our fight or flight states when necessary, but know that you are safe right now. There's no need to be on guard. Surrender to that safety, surrender to that okayness to turn away and to turn in. Let go of those thoughts too. The purpose of thoughts, generally speaking, is to help us find context for the world where we fit in, plan, to organize. There's no need to do any of that right now. Turn to that which needs no organization. That is already whole, that is already secure and steady and peaceful. The world spins around you, but you don't spin. And then taking a deeper, fuller breath. And then carefully, carefully, carefully bring yourself back on up. Good. So, one thing you might be noticing, this is not something that has to be true for you, but might be true for you, is that every time we go into another posture and I kind of lead you more toward that center of consciousness, that it might get a little bit easier every time because you have this reference point that was only a few moments ago to reconnect to. So just notice if that's true for you. And if it's not, keep practicing. You're doing great. You're still doing great. The next pose we're going to do is a supportive back bend. And we're going to need both pillows for this one and maybe even a blanket. I'll show you if you need it or not. So I'm going to lay my pillows out lengthwise. I'll be sitting away from them, so they'll be at my back. Now, the rounded or closed edge of your pillowcase is probably what you're going to want closest to you. That way, there's no like folded fabric that's digging into your back or anything. Again, the best we can do to have the body not be a distraction, the better. Good. So I'm going to turn away from the pillows, bring them right up against me, compress them down, and then relax back over them. Now, this alone is for me just fabulous. um, I have a, I'm pretty short. Some of you know that. So I can actually just take a blanket and put it as a head support if I need to. For those of you a bit taller, you might need to do a bit more to support yourself here. Maybe it's an extra pillow behind you. Just do your best, the best you can here. Now, a couple of options once we're here for the lower body. One is to just extend the legs out like Shavasana and just relax. For those of you who want the hips to open up a bit, you could bring the feet together in butterfly and allow the knees to fall outward. Now, this could be kind of a distracting stretch for you. Now, if your hips are open and you don't really feel it too intensely, go for it. But if you do this and you start to feel some impingement in the hips, which would be fine if we were practicing even normal restorative yoga and not pratyahara, because the hips would start to relax after a while. But because we want to start to disidentify with sensation, if it's too much, just extend the legs. Okay? So find your posture. Again, two pillows behind you, compress them down, relax back over them. You can have a blanket for a pillow or not, it's really up to you. Find your position for your legs. Arms are out to the sides, palms face up. Take a deep breath in and out. And as you exhale, allow that exhale energetically to let you go. Might take a couple of those to make it happen. Relax the effort in the legs, the hips, the abdomen, the shoulders, the head, arms and hands, feet. Feel yourself sink into this posture. Now we're in a back bend again, so you may be able to bring a softness back to your belly. Some of you may know this from the pranayama series, but when we breathe softly to the belly like this, it actually puts pressure on the inside side of your spine where the vagus nerve is located. And when we breathe deeply to the abdomen here, we put pressure on that nerve. It sends a signal to the brain to lower the blood pressure and through that to calm the nervous system. It's a physical switch in your body to counteract the effects of stress, anxiety, etc. And since those hyper aroused states keep us away from the center of consciousness, breathing softly to the belly helps us turn toward it through calming the energy of the body. And with that, again, be aware of all senses, your sound, sight, hearing, taste, feeling, smell. The awareness of your body in space. Your awareness of pressure, your awareness of energy. Let it go. Surrender that. Thoughts come to your mind. Allow them to rise and fall like waves on the ocean. No thought, either significant or insignificant. It's just a thought. Letting it go just as easily as it rises. And let that thought go too. Allowing your breath to deepen. You can again either roll to your right side, or if you want to just sit up, just grab behind the head and just support the neck as you rise. And with your legs out in front of you, this is not technically a restorative pose, but just fold down over the legs, just for a few moments. Feeling the back body lengthen. It does not have to be your deepest forward fold. We haven't done a lot for the hamstrings or even the lower back here, so just fold at your capacity for now. And inhale, lift back up. Good. All right. So we are going to be shifting into our yoga nidra practice now, and I want to show you how to set up. I know some of you know how to, but it always bears showing sometimes. So when we practice yoga nidra, the connective tissues and the bones within our bodies and all the muscles, they start to soften, even the bone itself. So what feels comfortable when you first lay down will not feel comfortable in 20 minutes. So we have to set ourselves up for comfort later on. So on top of your yoga mat, especially if you're on a hardwood floor, I tend to be on carpet these days, you're going to want to take those two blankets and unfold them on top of your mat, like kind of like making a pallet. Now you're in your home. You may even have more blankets than this. You're welcome to use as much support as you want to. Classically, yoga nidra is done on the floor on a mat with a bunch of blankets and stuff on it. If you're in a bed or if you lay on a couch, your body is really used to sleeping in those spaces, which may give you the opposite effect because we will attempt to stay conscious here. Okay. And it's worth that, but it's also worth setting up in a way that you'll be supported. So I have put down two blankets on top of my yoga mat. Other support you can bring, since you have these handy, is to bring a pillow for under your head and to bring a pillow under your knees. You can also cover up with a blanket too, especially if it's a little cooler in your space. So we get to bring all the goodies out. And so when you come to lay down, you'll lay down in a classical shavasana. You'll just have a bit more support than you normally do. Unless you do this all the time, then you'll have your normal support. Good. So you have the blanket under the knees, the toes still falling out to the side, the arms resting to your sides, and the head is resting on the pillow. Now, if you get to lay down and your head is just too high, like maybe you have two pillows under you or the pillow is really hard, you may want to switch out for like a folded blanket or something. You don't want the head to be too high and you don't want the surface that your head is resting on to be too hard. So do your best to make that adjustment. And I'll give you another couple of minutes or so to really settle into this posture. If you need to go grab a blanket, if you need to use the bathroom, take the next, again, minute or two to set yourself up for success. Good. So making any final adjustments to make yourself 10 to 15% more comfortable. And then find yourself in a state of relative stillness. You may move a little bit, but allow that to be a discerned movement. Meaning that you kind of put the movement through a filter before you decide to shift. Not every movement has to be attended to. So the practice of yoga nidra is a journey through the koshas, which are the layers, concentric layers of consciousness surrounding. We can call it the soul or the center of consciousness. And through Yoga Nidra, we disidentify with each of these layers as we get closer to that center. So the outer layer, is the body itself. The next layer underneath that is your energetic body. The layer underneath that is the waking mind, your thinking, doing, egoic mind. The next layer is the layer that we try to get to in Yoga Nidra, which is the witnessing self. The part of you that knows that there's all these other layers and outside of it, but knows the truth about the layers beneath it. Now to finish the model, the next layer is the bliss state, where you're just kind of a ball of happiness. But the only reason why that's not the soul is because you still identify with the experience. There's still an I-ness to it. It's a great place to be. But our goal is to get to that witnessing self, to start to disidentify with all these other layers and turn inward. And so we start with the body. Feel the points of contact your body makes with the ground here. Your heels, your hips, your upper back and shoulders, your arms, your hands, the back of the head. Feel yourself supported by these points. The earth rising up to hold you, knowing that you are 100% supported here. With that, can you relax a bit deeper, knowing that you are completely supported here? Gripping, clenching, holding, all of it softens. Now, as you practice, there may be some distractions that come to your awareness, sounds, sights, smells, tastes, and otherwise, feeling on the body. Those can be there, but you don't have to identify with them. You don't have to respond or react to any of it. Let it be in your awareness and let it go just as easily. So we'll begin to move your awareness throughout your body. And all you have to do is bring your awareness to each point as I name it. And if you happen to lose track, if your mind drifts away, just start with whatever point we're at the moment your mind comes back. No judgment, just practice. So we'll start by bringing your awareness to the point between your eyebrows. And then move your awareness to the point at the center of your throat. Your right shoulder joint. Your right elbow joint. Your right wrist joint. The tip of your right thumb. The tip of the first finger on your right hand. The tip of the second finger. Tip of the third finger. The tip of the fourth finger on the right hand. Right wrist joint. Right elbow joint. Right shoulder joint. Throat center. Left shoulder joint. Left elbow joint. Left wrist joint. Tip of the left thumb. Tip of the first finger on the left hand. Tip of the second finger. Tip of the third finger. Tip of the fourth finger on the left hand. Left wrist joint. Left elbow joint. Left shoulder joint. Throat center. Heart center at the center of the chest. Your right nipple. Heart center. Your left nipple. Heart center. The point on your spine behind your navel. The point at the center of your pelvis. Right hip joint. Right knee joint. right ankle joint, tip of the right big toe, tip of the second toe, tip of the third toe, tip of the fourth toe, tip of the fifth toe on the right foot, right ankle joint, right knee joint, right hip joint, pelvic center, left hip joint, left knee joint, left ankle joint, left big toe, second toe, tip of the third toe, tip of the fourth toe, tip of the fifth toe on the left foot, left ankle joint, left knee joint, left hip joint, pelvic center, navel center, heart center, throat center, eyebrow center. Feel the body at rest, floating in a state of conscious effortlessness, steady and suspended. Feel your whole body and feel your whole body heavy, pulled toward the core of the earth, gravity increased. Feel your body heavy, weighted, solid. And then feel your body light. The earth has let go. You begin to float. You could almost float away. Feel your body light. And feel your body heavy, as solid as a mountain, dense, grounded, earth-centered. Feel your body heavy. And then feel your body light as a cloud, floating, buoyant, spacious, made of air, all those space between all those atoms. Feel your body light. Keeping your body light. Sense the gentle flow of breath in and out. No effort, just awareness. Aware of that gentle flow of breath in, aware of the gentle flow of breath out, not efforting at all here. And feel the lightness of the body settle to the earth, a nice balance of light and rootedness. And become aware of the soles of your feet. As you inhale, draw in light from the soles of the feet all the way to the crown of your head. Don't effort, just see it. As you exhale, allow that light to return to the base of the feet. Inhale, light from the soles of the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Exhale that light back down again. Don't force the breath, just see it. Drawing in light from the feet to the crown, releasing it back down with the exhale. And as this light waxes and wanes within your body, see it clearing out any impurities, any fog or denseness, anything that might feel like it's keeping you from peace. Allow it just to move it through, move it out, cleansing the system. And allow the imagery of this light to fade, but keep the feeling of cleansedness. All those impurities removed, a pureness to your system. And bring your awareness to the aspect of you that simply watched that process, that watched this light move, that was able to just to witness the breath and the different densenesses of the body. Part of you that simply observed it all, without effort, without agenda, just awareness. That witnessing consciousness. That which the yogis call Atman. We're going to stay with this perspective of simply witnessing. So please imagine a screen about 6 inches in front of your forehead, like a movie theater. The screen is called the Chittakasha, or the screen of the mind. So see it blank at first. And as you hold your awareness on the screen, shapes, images start to form. Some may feel familiar. Some may feel a bit more abstract. Whatever comes to the screen of consciousness, just observe it. Just as you did the body, don't try to change it, and don't even judge it as good, bad, or otherwise. Just see it, allowing it to shift and morph as it will, with no attachment and no aversion, pure awareness. And if you find yourself getting involved with anything you see, judging it or trying to change it, just sit back and just watch. Allowing these images to come and go and morph on their own. And then allow the screen to go blank again. And in a moment, I'll begin to name random images. And I'd like you to bring the image to the screen in as much detail as you can in the short amount of time I give you to do so. Don't try to draw what I name, just see it as clearly as you are able. So holding your awareness on the screen, I'd like you to see a beach, then a church, a puppy playing, a closed door, a lone tree, a crowded train station, a dense forest, a sprawling mountain range, a classroom, an old woman, a dove in flight, an empty airport, a red rose, a chapel, a graveyard at night, the rising sun, waves on the ocean, smoke dissolving, a newborn child, a rushing river, your room, fresh baked cookies, darkness, an open field, a busy urban center, a calm lake, allow the screen to dissolve, and see your body, feel your body standing on the banks of a calmly flowing river. See it as clearly as you can without drawing it, just see it. What's around this river? Maybe there's some boulders in the water, maybe there's trees around it, maybe not. What's there for you? One thing that is true is that this water is flowing calmly and peacefully. And you too, which you wish to be calm, you wish to be peaceful, just like that center of consciousness. And so you step into the water and it laps over your feet and ankles, maybe even your shins, and all tension within dissolves. And your feet and your shins become calm and peaceful. And you begin to get curious as you sense this, that you want to know where this comes from. How can this river flow from some source down to some unknowable destination, making twists and turns, and how can it remain so peaceful in all of that movement? And so you seek out to find the source. Feet still in the water, you begin to walk upstream over stones and boulders, sand, journeying toward the source of all this peace. As that water rushes around you, it continues to take your discomforts, continues to take your suffering away, dissolving it, moving further and further upstream, around bends in this river. And as every river has its source, you come to arrive at a calm, still lake, which just ever so gently pours water down into this river. And so you step into the lake. Maybe it's deep, maybe it's not. But you find that regardless, you remain buoyant. So much so that it's easy for you to just float gently on the surface of this lake. And so you do so, and your body becomes surrounded by this calm, gentle water. And all the discomfort dissolves. So at peace you become that it becomes difficult to tell where your skin ends and the water begins. Keep relaxing, keep dissolving that boundary. Even allow your head to dip beneath the surface, and as you do so, you can breathe easier than before. Let go. Let go. Let go. And you dissolve. You let go and dissolve into the water. You become this source of peace. You become this deep, deep calm. And it feels so familiar. It feels that way because this has always been your truth. You have always had this capacity. This is who you truly are. Peace, peace, peace. It's calm water. You, the calm water, you. You know that even though we may move from this place, this calm lake at the center of you, that it is always here. You may have to journey for it, but know that it's there. You as this calm water, the calm water as you allow yourself to be poured back into that river, moving back downstream, over rocks and boulders, around bends, still calm, still peaceful, even with this movement. And eventually you come to an edge, and the water pours off the edge into your body, resting here, practicing yoga nidra. Allow that calm, peaceful water to fill your body here. And know that you are still that calm water, the center of your consciousness. You become aware of the points of contact you make with the ground, the sensory information, choosing to turn toward it, knowing that you are not it. With your eyes still closed, picture the room around you in as much detail as you can. And then feel your breath gently moving in your body. And when you choose to do so, and it feels right for you, take a deep cleansing breath. The practice of yoga nidra is now complete. From this place, I'd like you to take your time. When you're ready, roll to your right side. Maybe spend a few breaths there. And then take your time again as you come up to a seat. It's okay if you need more time. Spending if just a moment once you're in a seat. Again, take your time if you're not there yet. But once you're there, just kind of be aware of your capacity for Pratyahara in this moment. Yes, there are senses. Yes, there's need to interact with it, but there's so much identification with the inner world, that calm lake or the center of consciousness that we connected to in Nidra, we connected to through our restorative yoga practice. And we'll continue to explore this connection toward the inner world in our subsequent classes. But for now, please bring your palms to your heart and lower the chin, just honoring that deep, deep center that we can turn toward when we need to. And may all of this work you've done tonight and all this work you've done in this life to be able to connect to that point, may all of that and this practice continue to serve you. So until next time, namaste.